This is Big Man Tyrone, and you're about to watch the MTG Cabal cast with your hosts, Woad, Thirsty, and Reptar. Sub to us on all your podcast networks at MTG Cabal Cast and YouTube.
All right, guys. Welcome to the newest episode of the Cabal Cast. As always, you got me and Reptar here holding it down for us. Going to keep it kind of brief again today. It's not really a slow news week. There's some pretty big news, especially from a financial perspective here. We've got the TCG Player updates that hit last week with the fee structures, processing, cart minimum, stuff like that. And actually, we were delayed because I was at Grand Prix Memphis, or GP Jackhammer, as some of you may know it by. Thankfully, by being delayed, we were able to cover the MSRP change that was announced today to the price of boxes. And then, of course, we'll close out with our picks for the week. So, let's get rolling.
So we wanted to start out with the TCG Player change because this is the biggest announcement that we've had in the last week. And for me, I know there's a change to direct sellers, which I was not. The big change for me is what was done to the fee structure and the change on the shipping. So you no longer need to make a minimum order from a single account of $2. You can buy that 5-cent common that you need from ABU Games because they list everything, and then just tack on 78-cent shipping, and you're good with your one card. So what we have now is a fee structure that is in the end 12.75% plus 30 cents, which doesn't sound like a lot, but what it actually makes difficult is selling those low-end cards. So before, the difficult part was trying to up your seller level from 1 to 4 by way of selling cards somewhere in the $5 to $10 range with zero reputation. By doing that, you ensure that you're actually going to make money and kind of hold off the fact that somebody would just steamroll your store unless you were just listing like Standard's greatest hits. Now with this fee structure, if somebody were to just come through and buy a card worth a quarter, so whatever that is on your site, if they don't add, let's say, an additional $4.75, they just take that 78-cent shipping option. Now you're left with a sale that is worth $1.03. And from that, after that 12.75% plus 30-cent fee, you're going to make 60 cents minus your stamp, which is about 55 cents, which means you have now made a 5-cent sale. 5-cent profit on that sale.
Yeah. Assuming no cost of goods.
Correct.
On the card itself.
Yeah.
So it's like, 4 2/3 cents, assuming it's bulk.
Exactly. So this doesn't really encourage a lot of people to start loading up those rares that are under $2. This actually raises the bar a bit if you want to start seeing profit from your TCG Player store. So if you're just starting out, you can actually expect to make nothing or even take a loss because of this, unless you're doing what I did, which was to try and jumpstart my store and almost got wiped out by 2 or 3 people buying my Hymn to Turox and like lightning bolts. So I was like, F it, we'll just juice this store. No rep, who cares about a lightning bolt? They're going to get a great near mint revised bolt. And then
one way or another.
Yeah, and then a dude bought like all 12 of my Hymn to Turox. I was like, they're...
So much for that.
Yeah, that crapped on it. And...
go ahead.
So this definitely changes the game from a seller standpoint, especially somebody who's just trying to get their feet wet. People who are already competing, large shops, and I mentioned ABU Games specifically, I wanted to call that out because they do list everything on like Channel Fireball or Pink Bunny Games or not Fusion. There's another site that I'm thinking of that's similar.
Strike Zone? Maybe?
It's another one I buy from every now and again. Mom's Basement cards. They're basically GP grinders that only do TCG Player stuff.
Yeah.
Those guys, their floor is actually pretty high because they understand that in the old fee structure, if you didn't make a $2 sale, you were actually going to zero out or lose. Now that floor is raised.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult.
I think the big thing here, too, is that a lot of people who... The other thing to appreciate is that when you sell a card for less than $2 on TCG, so if you sell something for, 25 cents, no matter what, that time cost you something. And it's something that I think a lot of times grinders, like first starting out, don't really appreciate because they don't have overhead.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily paying rent on an extra building besides their apartment or something, and they're not recognizing, you may go to an event and grind for 5 to 6 hours, come back with $1,000 up on your inventory. So you list that $1,000. Now, you may spend a total of 7 hours doing that from the time you get to the event to the time you leave to the time you list. Well, that $1,000 has the cost of goods and the cost of your time on it. Mm-hmm. And from my perspective, this kind of forces people to put a value on their time and to have those minimums. Doesn't mean they're going to, by any means. My big thing is, especially in sick deals, I've noticed that there seem to be people that don't place a value on their time. Mm-hmm. And it's really common and it's really unfortunate because you can't get it back, guys. Once that time's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. That's why they banned Top in Legacy.
Yeah.
It just stole years of people's lives.
Yeah.
When you sum
Sorry,
it all
Joe
up.
Lossett. No more free wins. Ouch. But I think this is, from a seller's perspective, it's also kind of good because the aggregate fees drop by about 4.75%. Mm-hmm. Especially for direct, which is a seller, they changed the way your RI replacement fee works, which was good. We don't really have to touch on that, but for those of you that are direct, read the full announcement because there are relevant changes in there for you.
Yep.
One thing I did want to touch on is there's some people who are like, oh, this is worse for sellers, or for buyers, this is terrible. I don't think this is bad for buyers.
I don't think so either.
I hate when all I want is like, I don't know, a Cycle of Life from Mirage because I want some garbage reserve list card.
Yep.
Because I'm like, I have $3 in kickback credit. I'm going to blow it on something that is worthless.
Yep.
And it's, 18 cents or something. Oh, 20 cents is LP low right now. I just want to spend my $2 to $3 on that,
Kickbacks, yeah.
Like, can I just do that? Well, now I can. And the other thing is, when you're doing a buyout, when buyouts happen, when you look at what's one that's going on now, I think Foil Eye of Nowhere.
Yep.
I had seen mentioned somewhere before was one that was like actively happening now. So you go to Foil. Oh,
Semblance Anvil.
Yeah, Semblance Anvil.
Tectonic Break, yeah.
But so you go to Foil Eye of Nowhere right now. There are currently, looks like, active listings 12.
Okay.
None of them are above $2. So anyone, and this is, I'm not condoning, condemning anything. People do buyouts, it's what happens. Whoever is buying this out can't do anything about this because they have to go in and fill out $1.31 from Shop Acadian to get this last moderately played foil out of here. Well, when you're doing that, you don't care. You're just like, oh, this card's too cheap. I don't care if it has $20 shipping. I'm going to buy this Beta Shatter for $5. Mm-hmm. It's too cheap. And I think that's good because there's a lot of times, in Standard, you're trying to fill out a deck and all you need is Rakdos Guildgate.
Yep.
Well, I can just get Rakdos Guildgate now, and sure, I'm going to pay an extra 78 cents. But, I mean, I didn't have to go anywhere for it. And I think that the place that benefits from this most is your LGS that's selling excess commons and uncommons online because it gives them an out.
Ironically, TCG Player being great for the LGS.
Yeah. Not something that I would have thought, but, if Wizards isn't going to do it, someone has to,
Someone
right?
has to, yep.
So, there we are.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's good for a buyer's perspective. A seller's, I agree, starting out especially, it's not great.
Yeah, it's hard.
It makes it hard to really get bulk moving. And I think, the tried and true wisdom is when you're trying to get started out, you buy bulk. Mm-hmm. Because you buy it for $3 to $5 a thousand, and if you're lucky, you can crank out $10 to $15 out of each K.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad.
No.
So
I think there's also another level to this, and it's not the person who's an active trader or grinder, and it's just the person who just plays FNMs or pre-release events, win-a-box events, and now they can just get rid of those cards at some level of profit. It's not, infinite profit because, the time is spent. It's not zero time times, the profit on this. Your time was still spent playing the game, but what you got back out of it was enjoyment. You won, and now you can do something else with these cards. And it gives them an easy out to get rid of a lot of those individual singles. Like you crack a box and you want to get rid of some low-hanging fruit. Let's say, because I've got Crackling Drake up now. You open 2 Crackling Drakes in your box. Well, you could get rid of them both maybe for $2 total, but if you just wanted to be out of them immediately, you're going to have to list those bad boys for under $1. Yeah. And which means you're also competing, 95 cents for light played, shipping included. You can't beat that in the old system. You won't make that sale as a brand new TCG player seller. But with zero rep, you go let's say 93 cents, 92 cents, and you're fine only making 20 or 30 cents profit, whatever the fee structure is after you sell those drakes. That's fine. It's money you literally didn't have before. Probably should have just sold the box sealed on TCG Player, but that's neither here nor there.
Some people like gambling. Scratcher tickets are fine.
Yeah, if you're playing Standard and you're winning boxes of Standard, chances are you probably still need cards for Standard. So it makes sense. And I assume this is going to work out just as well for people who win midnight pre-releases or anything specifically on that weekend, because you can just get stuff up and move it even faster. You don't have to worry about hitting something big, like a big ticket mythic. You can just get out of some of your low-end stuff. Let some speculators or people who think the card's great for whatever reason move in on it then and take your small percentage and let them deal with the card later.
Wilderness Reclamation at a quarter, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Wilderness Reclamation is an outstanding card that was extremely hard to actually buy in mass prior to this changeover. And even if when it was a quarter, you would spend an extra 78 cents on it to get it from one seller, you're still ahead right now. It's what, $2 to $3? $1.42 is the only person. Sorry, the lowest price for 4 or more.
Okay,
That's actually how I just learned to filter TCG Player whenever I was shopping, especially for Standard stuff.
Yep. Just trying to get 4 or more, because it's easier for cheap Standard stuff to just get 4 or more, even if you only need 1.
Yeah.
You have to go 4 or more. And the thing is, the people with 4 or more under the old structure could charge more, because that was how people shopped. So you can have a card that TCG low was 50 cents. Well, if I'm the only guy that has 4 or more, I can charge 90 cents, knowing that I'll just get it to fill out the cart, because he actually has 2, but I have to get 3.
It allowed some weird gaming of the system.
Yeah.
You could pick up what we affectionately call the button on Amazon, which is the direct spotlight on the card page itself. And if you're looking at a larger listing page, if you're searching for Lightning Bolt, for instance, and you just have that giant list, and you are the direct seller on that list, like with Amazon, you're more likely to sell your wares. But to get there, it's not just how often are people buying from you, how often do people shop your store. It's some combination of updating your inventory pricing, updating your inventory totals, shipping cost adjustments, etc. And you could game that button as a way to make sales and push prices down sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fallout that I think just works in the buyer's favor overall.
Yeah, I think, again, there's no downside for a buyer. As a seller, though, you're right. I think, especially starting out, it's not great. Obviously, as Channel Fireball, I mean, they don't care anyways. But you look at Pack Fresh.
Yeah.
They're one of the other big TCG sellers that always has 1 million of every card. Well, that's fine by them now, because they can just sell everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. ARG is another one that probably thinks this is great, or Card Monster. When they're not at a Star City, they put all of their chaff on TCG, and it moves. And now it's going to move even more, because I just need this awful random comment, I need a Great Oak Guardian or something for $1.50. Gimme.
Yeah, one light the stage or something,
Yeah.
It's there, and it's easy, and it's convenient. I'm kind of curious what happens in this new system once Crystal Commerce goes down, and we have one of those days where all the LinkedIn sellers, like Channel Fireball, just kind of disappear from the system, and I wonder what happens on those days to minimum order pricing and pricing of cart size in regards to quantity of cards. But I guess we'll find out. We're overdue for another good Crystal Commerce crash.
It actually has been quite a while.
Oh yes,
since the last one. So we'll see it soon, I'm sure.
Yeah,
great product though.
Yeah, the speculation swirled years ago that somebody was going to buy it out just to own it and do a better job, and I don't think that's happened yet. So
yeah, I don't think it will at this point. Not that they don't need to sell. I just don't think they will. Meh.
Oh, not at all. All right.
Yeah.
So the next announcement that there is no more MSRP starting on. They just said
War of the Spark.
Specialty sets. Yeah, starting at War of the Spark.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to see if they say on anything in particular, and I don't think they do.
No, it's just starting with War of the Spike. Our products or War of the Spark. Sorry. No more of our products have MSRP.
Yep. So no more specialty products with MSRP. When they inevitably roll out another FTV and it's outstanding and the going price is $100 on TCG Player, you can expect to pay that at your LGS now.
Yep, sure can. Great. It's good and bad. Thing is, there were still a few stores, and I made it a point to shop them, even if it wasn't for the product. There's one store in particular here that always charged MSRP from the vaults if you pre-ordered it or anything. Even when I wasn't getting a from the vault, I tried to shop at that store as much as possible because it was a store that, we care about the community.
Yes.
Obviously, they can still sell for that, or whatever it would have been on the product, who knows. The big change here is, and this is something I've seen a lot of discussion on, boxes aren't $144 each anyways. Well, if you do the math, 36 times 4 is 144.
Yes.
Which is the cost of a pack. So, obviously, being an unregulated market, the market's going to try to keep prices down on packs. The big problem is there's some areas, you may only have one LGS for a 20 to 30 mile radius. What's to stop them from charging $5, $6, $7? Oh, well, people will stop going to that store. No, they won't.
No, they won't.
They won't stop. And I don't think, price gouging is going to happen, courtesy of TCG. We have a ceiling, more or less. The only place that doesn't apply is booster packs. Nobody buys booster packs on TCG. They buy sealed boxes and sealed product, but not packs. It's... I think the excuse of, we want to confirm to our global player base. Why? That doesn't count. Hasbro releases products all over the world. And they don't have a problem having MSRP. The big thing that I hope this is for, and I genuinely do, especially with what they've done with Amazon and, FBA directly through Wizards kind of taking a giant dump on the LGS, is I hope that they put a price fixing agreement into place here.
Oh, like Apple style, yeah.
Yeah, like they say, look, if you want to carry this stuff, this is what you're going to charge. This is it. And I think that would honestly fix a lot of the problems that people have had with, the Masters product and stuff, where you go to your LGS on release and they're charging $400, $450 for it. And you're like, well, that feels bad. Well, there was a store here who they ordered UMA. They pre-ordered some of it. Guy showed up on pre-release weekend and said, hey, I'm here to get my box of Ultimate Masters. And the store owner said, I can't give it to you. I'm using it tonight for a prize.
Yep.
Okay, but I paid for it. Right. I'll give it to you now for $450, which is $100 more than you pre-ordered it for, or I can get another one next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think price fixing helps with some of that stuff. It helps with the feel bads of having to pay more for something,
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No, I'm curious about it. Like, the local stores by me usually have whatever the base rate is, then their percent, and then taxes.
Yeah.
So I think I was paying close to $130 or $140 all said and done for the last box I bought that wasn't a master set.
Woof.
But I mean, I can't buy singles anywhere. So if I'm actively playing standard, I'll support my LGS with the box here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Once a quarter, I can do that.
Every now and then, I guess I'll throw you guys a bone. Sure.
Yeah, and they're the kind of store that doesn't price match to Amazon, etc., because they know that in a lot of those categories, those sellers are direct, either direct from distro or Amazon direct themselves. So they just can't compete. And I don't know what's going to happen to stores like that, small stores that do get decent allocation of boxes, but still charge their prices, which could be 20, 30% more than Amazon or more than Walmart or anybody else who has a website that you can order from and have the box or a case plopped off at your door.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with those, I don't think this announcement has as much of an effect on them as the FBA stuff already had. And at least from the stores I've talked to here, they actually have literally had people say, when they took pre-orders on product, they're like, hey, do you want to get a box? And people have told them, no, I'm just going to get it off Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course you're going to get it off Amazon if it's, 20 to 30 bucks cheaper.
Yeah, and 2 day shipping.
Yeah, and 2 day shipping. I mean, that's obviously.
Yeah.
And, especially here because there's places that sell singles here, unlike where you are, where, it makes sense. You support them, you take care of it. Sure. It's bad from a community standpoint, good from a unabashed carpetbagger standpoint.
Fair enough.
Don't know how great that is overall, but yeah.
It's definitely going to be an interesting time because this is a very short announcement. I put it up on screen. This is, technically a couple paragraphs long, but in the end it really is only a 5 or 6 sentence announcement that just says there's no more MSRP, other products do this, around the world they have no problems, goodbye.
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel for Blake because
Blake Rasmussen. Yeah.
He cannot win at all.
Oh, is he their PR guy?
Yeah, he's their PR guy for sure. He's not really in a great spot. I think one of the one announcement this week that I did think was good was Aaron Forsyth. Roses are red. These takes are so hot. Nexus and Challenger Jacks. No, sir, it is not.
Oh yeah. That was a good one.
It was good for the delivery. I don't think it's a good announcement.
No.
Because the general consensus is that was not a good idea anymore.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that announcement. And off topic, I think Pro Points podcast was right. We'll see Nexus banned after the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
You let these guys test with it up until this weekend, play what they're going to play, and then you just cut it loose. It's done.
Yeah.
Just let it go. But I think that's all we really wanted to cover this week. It was, 2 fairly important points, one a little stronger than the other in the TCG announcement. The MSRP thing is definitely going to be a shakeup, but we don't really know how it's going to work, especially because we don't have the announcement of what that new Masters product is yet.
Yeah.
And we won't get an MSRP on it when they announce it.
Yeah, and I think from what I see happening from that, first off, not a big deal until the not Masters set hits.
Yeah. And
when the not Masters set hits, that's when it'll be a big deal. That's the only time.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I mean, unless this modern product is another event deck style thing and it's just jacked. The thing is just straight gas. Then we might see an issue with that product. The original
Yeah.
one, not so much. It had some great cards that needed to be reprinted at the time that were just a little overinflated, especially looking at Inquisition of Kozilek in particular.
Yeah.
And then moving down to Sword of Feast and Famine. Those were kind of artificially inflated. But if they look at the modern format anytime in the last year and just decide to pick up, they could just close their eyes and pick a bunch of cards at random that we're currently seeing play in modern, throw them all in a box, no land, this is just what you get. You know, that we could start seeing this no MSRP thing kind of rear up pretty quickly. But
yeah,
TBD on this one.
Yeah.
So, on the way out the door, our picks, which we did put up with our show notes on Friday in the Discord. This is
sub to the Patreon so you can get access early.
Yeah, but actually, between when I mentioned this card and now, we've seen a handful more results. Nothing spectacular. My pick is a card I've been sitting on for a couple weeks now. It is Lavinia Azorius Renegade. And the reason I've been sitting on it is because, one, there were no results, which meant this card was going to go down in price. Two, I was pretty sure this card was not worth the dollar price tag it had for a very long time. And it's kind of sitting there right now. When I mentioned it, I think it was somewhere around 75 cents. And if you don't look at TCG Player, if you do go out and you look at larger vendors, people like Channel Fireball, like RIW, or Troll and Toad, anybody who is in Star City, basically, you can get this card for under $1 at a fairly large quantity.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to take a minute. We needed to see people start playing it, because this is not really a modern card. It has modern related text in the fact that it does kind of turn Tron off for a few turns, whatever, cool. It has a relevant creature type in humans, and it turns off packs that cost 0. And, Mox Opal and a handful of stuff in Cheerios Affinity. Hoo-ha. What I was waiting for was what I get to see now on MTG Top 8, which is the Vintage Super League has been kicking in, and people are now taking this card and bringing it down into Legacy and Vintage because it turns off your power, or your brown power. It turns off Crypt and Vault, or no, Crypt.
Shops.
Yeah. And it turns off Force of Will and Phyrexianly casted Mental Misstep.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge swath of cards that make up Vintage.
Yeah.
So this card is not, burning it down in Vintage. I just wanted to wait a little bit, like I said. Just drop to 5, or drop below $1 and then move in. This is a card that's just going to pick up steam. There's a new Humans Brew in Modern that actually uses lands to cast your creatures and spells. This card has not been adopted in Modern yet. I really don't expect it to be adopted before Judith is in that deck, but it is something that we could see. And if it does, that's when this card goes up probably to 7 or 8. Buying it at $1 just seems really easy. I picked up 8 because I had some credit floating around on a site from a buy list, and I'll probably move in on another 24 plus because this thing's going to be okay. There's a promo version that's kicking around now as well. The not the pre-release promo.
The full art, game day, whatever it was.
The game day foil, and it's a $7 foil already that's just been holding.
Yeah.
It's different-ish art, I believe, going back and looking. Yeah, enough. Different enough. That should float the foil price for a little while. $7.50 I think is just a little too cheap for the foil moving forward, because the Vintage metagame is going to move this card, but not that much. It's not going to be a $12 or $15 foil until it gets picked up in Modern in mass. But that spread of less than $1 to $7.50 is a little too high for this. The general multiplier is usually somewhere around 1.5 to 2.5. 1.5x to 2.5x. This is a 7.5 spread. So
pretty good.
Yeah, we can definitely see just general trend tracking that this card is worth more than $1.
Yeah, I like that one. The one thing I disagree with you on is its viability in Modern. I don't think Humans is where it might see play. I think it might be Spirits.
Okay.
Because Spell Queller is a hard lock. Whatever you Spell Quell can't be cast with Lavinia out.
Yeah, it doesn't come back up. Okay.
So if you hit Anger or something with a Spell Queller, which is pretty bad for the deck, you can land a Lavinia and you don't have to worry about them killing your Spell Queller. Suddenly they have to kill something else before they do it.
Yep.
And I think that might be where it sees some Modern play. I don't know if it will,
Okay.
but it's something that I could see happening. Although the fact that it's seeing play in Vintage already is insane.
Yeah.
I do agree, though. I think that's a good pickup for sure at less than $1 because there's no way, especially with EDH.
Yeah.
I just don't think it stays under $1 for long.
There were 2 weeks ago, speaking of EDH, and then I want to move on real quick. I'm sure people here watch Commander Versus, and if you don't, I'm going to say it again, you really should, because there have been a number of cards that have done well on Commander Versus that I've brought up in our Discord because I'm the only one that still watches this thing, pop the next day.
That's true.
It isn't a weekly thing, and it doesn't need to be something that's oppressive. It happens. When they were doing their new series for this season, they were doing generals from this new Rav set. Suarez was going to play Lavinia as his general and play a prison deck and just lock everybody else out. And they were joking about how bad it was going to be, but this card lends itself to that. So this is something you got to watch out for. Not in the Commander Versus series, but EDH Rec. This is this could be a sneaky card, and one day it could just pop. Somebody puts together a better, white X prison deck that involves Lavinia as the general, or maybe she's in the 99, she makes it work. Just keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, it's definitely something I could see happening. Mine is, touching on the topic of pre-modern middle school, which we did a couple weeks ago.
And we will be doing it again.
Yes, we're actually, in the next week or two, we're going to be talking about those two formats and what they mean financially. Energy Field. Mm-hmm. So it's an enchantment from Urza's Saga.
Yep.
Prevent all damage to you from sources you do not control when a card's put into your graveyard. Sack it. So Enchantress has been putting up some pretty big results in pre-modern, and it is also doing really well in middle school from the few local events I've heard people going to and stuff like that. It is also reserved list.
Yes.
I know we don't like talking about that. It's the pink elephant in the room, whatever. We have to address it eventually. The card is currently $6 to $8. Mm-hmm. And there are 58 listings for LP or near mint on TCG. This effect is pretty unique. It's pretty good. It sees play in Legacy. Yes. There is occasionally that energy field list that pops up with Rest in Peace that just locks you out with help.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that $6 to $7 is way too cheap for this card. It should easily be a $10 to $12 buy list on Card Kingdom and should be about a $15 low on TCG. So I think this is an easy 2x.
I agree with that. I mean, CMC2 lends itself to constructed formats. I don't understand why this isn't more based on EDH alone, because if you're going to dirtle behind Energy Field, like Force Field, you dirtle behind it in EDH. Aside from the Helm of Obedience, Rest in Peace combo decks in Modern that generally have a blue-white control-less shell, this has popped up in Miracles proper before, out of the sideboard. It not all the time, and it wasn't super popular. It was in that kind of in-between time after top banning. People were trying to figure out what to do in the format. So there was a point in time where this could come back again.
And I think, looking at the 4 or more, prior point, 4 or more. The cheapest with 4 or more is $6.87 at Moose Loot. The most expensive is $15 for D2D games. So there's a total of 8 vendors with 4 or more. And D2D has 12 LP and 12 near mint at $12 and $15 respectively.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of listings between $6 and $15. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think, not necessarily in the next 2 to 3 months, but I think it's probably in the next year.
Yeah.
It'll hit 15 pretty easily.
Let's break it down a little more. There's 16 in between the damage, the moderately played, that are between $7 and $8. And once these go, that's probably when this card moves.
If there's only 16 damage or HP, definitely.
So Channel Fireball has has 5 damaged copies for $5. MTG Seattle has 4 moderately played for $7. Between those two listings, there are 16 light played energy fields between $7 and $8. And like people want to kind of talk about what the anatomy of a buyout looks like. This is it. You have this weird disparate spread in prices between damage and moderately played, and you just come in and you swoop light played or near mint from in between there and just shore up that gap, relist almost immediately at not double but at a reasonable price. Let's say down here D2D games at $12, and now the only light played left is MTG Seattle at $7.50 with another 4 copies, and it looks like there's just been a buyout on near mint / LP energy fields.
And that's pretty much, you see it a lot with foils especially, where you'll see a very disparate, like, okay, well, we've got 12 listings between this and the next one, and there's 8 of them are LP. That's like you said, that's the anatomy of a buyout. You'll see that.
Yeah.
And I mean, this has been something that has been kind of slow rolling for a while. I mean, even looking at MTG stocks, it spiked briefly after the top band, but that was it.
Yep.
Then it went back down, and I think this is something that's ripe for a buyout, basically.
Oh, I agree.
So,
I'm glad it's a good choice. A+.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
get yours before they're gone.
Yes, because it's a good buy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be moving in on them myself. Right now, I bought Card Kingdom out on Friday of about, I think it was 20 total. And I just think it's a good buy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it for this week. Remember, sub to our Patreon, $1, $3, $5, super affordable.
Yep.
And you can find me at Thirsty Sizzler.
I am Halt, I am Reptar. We are MTG Cabalcast, which is also the Patreon, and we will see you next week.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.